Colleen here from Course Coder. The purpose for my tutorial today is to show you how to use Trello for project management. Now, I've been using Trello for quite a few years, but I wanted to focus this tutorial on how to use it within the educational context because more and more people are deciding to create online courses, especially entrepreneurs and small businesses, because they want to open up new revenue streams, or they want to make online courses be the main offering for their audience. So this review will be helpful for you if you've decided to do that. Now, I generally use the standard framework that most people use for anything outside of online course creation. I'll kind of show you quickly what that might look like. So most people use this doing, and done. I've also included this chasing category, but it's very helpful to move things around, move them in and out. So once you actually start working on a task, you can move it into the doing list. And then once you're done with it, you move it over here. It's a great feeling when you can say that you've accomplished something and everything is now over into your done list. Now, I also discovered this chasing list, which I don't remember who I saw do this. It was quite a few years ago, but I thought it was brilliant. And it's been very, very helpful for me because basically I put things in here when I'm waiting for someone to return something to me. So if I'm not able to do it, or I'm not able to mark it off as done because I'm waiting for someone, whether that's I've contracted out some work like graphic design work or something else, and they have to give it back to me, that whatever that deliverable is, they have to give it back to me before I can do something with it or before I can finish off the project. I'll add it to this chasing category. And it's not necessarily that I have to chase down someone or they're being unresponsive, but it's just that I can't move forward yet. So I put it in here, and that's been very, very helpful. But let me go back into the one of my courses, and I have an example here, the budgeting course, which is just for a little example. I'm not actually creating a budgeting course. I'm not a financial guru, but I just figure it's a category that everyone can relate to. So here I've used a different framework. You see, I don't have that to do, doing, and done list here. But what I do for online courses, and I've been creating online courses and evaluating online courses within higher education and within the corporate setting for over 10 years. So I've kind of nailed down this process in my head, and I know a lot of other people tend to like some sort of framework that's not just like this unfiltered brainstorming way of putting a course together. So I'll just show you how I use Trello to put a course in order. So here I first figure out what the problem is, like what is this course trying to solve? I'll talk to my audience first and kind of nail down what problem they're having or what type of gap they have between what they're trying to do versus what they're able to do right now. And so I'll put the problem into this first list. Then I'll put the solution at the end. And so hopefully you already know how to use Trello. This tutorial is not really a step-by-step how to create lists and that sort of thing, because there are hundreds and thousands and gazillions of tutorials out there that will show you how to do that. Probably the people at Trello might even have their own tutorial of how to, actually do the basics, how to create lists, or these are called lists. Each of these columns are. And how to create cards and so forth. But I'm just showing you kind of more of the intermediate or advanced level of how to use it for your course planning. So what was I saying? Yeah. So you add the problem. In this example, my budgeting example, the problem is that people are spending too much. They're spending more than they actually are earning or bringing in. The solution to that is they need to create and stick to a budget. Now, I, as the course creator or the teacher or the entrepreneur, I will have my own philosophy on what the process is to get someone from the problem to the solution. So this is going to be different for everyone. Even someone else out there who is a personal finance expert, or who they've, kind of done this for a while, they might have a different process. They might have a different list of steps here based on their own values and their own skills. So here I've said that for someone to go from point A to point B, I need them to track their spending, first of all, know how much they've actually been spending over the last couple of months or years or whatever. Then they need to track how much they're bringing in. Then they need to allocate a certain amount of their income to those needs, like those fixed needs that they cannot change. And then to their wants, their variable expenses, right? Things that are going to change from time to time, that it's not like an absolute necessity, like paying their rent or paying their mortgage. They need to allocate something towards that. And then they also need to allocate a certain amount towards savings or paying off debt and so forth. So I just did a brief little internet search and came up with this 50-30-20 process, or a budgeting calculator. So I threw it in here as a list. So I have 5 steps towards getting someone from spending too much to having a budget that they can stick to. So you'll need to do the same thing for your own course. Now, if you need some help on kind of figuring out how to determine the problem, how to determine the solution, and the steps that you want people to walk through, I have a template that I created called the course canvas. So, feel free to check that out. It's on my website. It's free of charge. So you can go to www.coursecoder.com and you'll see a link to the course canvas on that page. And I'll also link it to the bottom in the description of this video so you can get to it a little bit faster. But yeah, that's just to help you to come up with each of these lists right here for your own course. So once you have that, and once you have that entered into Trello, the next step is that you're going to want to focus on your steps. You're going to want to focus on 1 through whatever, how many steps you have. Now, you probably want to keep it between 5 and 8 steps, because these are going to end up being your modules or your units in your course. If you have like 10 modules, 20 modules, chances are you need to break that up into multiple courses. You don't want to have people, taking months and months to complete, to get from one step to the next, or getting to the solution. So between 5 to 8 is a general, a good number to keep in mind for how many modules you should have in your course. Okay, so the next step is to go ahead and create our cards. Each of these, again, is going to be the module that you need to work with. And each card will be, I start off with the activities. And on the course canvas, I explain why I start off with activities versus just brainstorming and putting every single thing I know about personal financing, because you end up with a course that is more bloated and that just is sort of unorganized and pieced together. So this way, you don't have an unfiltered brainstorming session. You are determining what actual activities or results people need to come away with. And then from there, you drill down into what content you need to produce that will help them to complete those activities. So in order for someone to track spending, what activities do they need to do? The first thing they might need to do is determine or choose what system they're going to use to track their spending. So I'll create that as the first activity. And generally, I'll just say activity 1 and give it a title. Choose system to track expenses. Okay. Then after I have the activity, I need to determine what information people need in order to choose the system. Okay, so information for activity 1. And then after that, you can kind of go into the details by clicking on the card itself. So for example, under information for activity 1, people will need to determine what systems are out there. Okay, so for example, there might be mint.com, That's something I've used in the past to track my expenses or my spending habits. People can use like an Excel spreadsheet to track their expenses, or what else? Some people just save their receipts. Okay, and that might be another way. So here you can kind of see your course is going to start taking some shape here, because you're going to have to explain within the lesson that these are the options, and you might determine that you need to create some video tutorials. So maybe you want to show people how exactly to use mint.com or what that system offers, and then either make them choose, or perhaps you're going to recommend a certain tool that you found to be helpful, and give your reasons for why they should use mint.com. Like why you think that's the best option. So here on the right side, you'll see all the different options for your card. You can add members. So if you have other people collaborating on this course, you could add them as long as they have a Trello account. You can add labels. Sometimes I'll put in as a label worksheets or downloadables or printables, so that anytime I can go back and search for that label, and I can just see on one screen like all of the printables or downloadable things I need to create. There's also a really nice checklist here option. So once you add that, you can see you can just create multiple items to your checklist. And I love that, because you can then go back and check them off as you're done, and you get that beautiful, that nice feeling of having something crossed out. And if you see on the main page, it'll show you right here that you have one of 2 items completed in your checklist. So I love checklists. There's a whole, I think everyone loves checklists, right? I don't know anyone who doesn't, but maybe there are some people who don't. So what I would recommend, even because I've purchased ebooks that were just checklists, you might want to go through, look at all your checklists, and then bundle all of those together and charge people to get access to that, because people really love it, and it's really helpful when they can see everything they need to do, like this curated list done by an expert or done by someone who's more advanced than they are, of all the things they need to accomplish. And so they know they're on the right track. So that's something that people would really benefit from, and it would be valuable to them. Just a quick little side note, you'll see these little power buttons here. It's actually an icon for the application called Toggl, which is Toggl, I believe. It's not something that comes built into Trello, but it's just in my account because I've integrated Toggl and Trello, and Toggl is great. It's a productivity app, so you can track, how much time you're spending on stuff. And this was recommended to me by Jennifer over at ViewLingo. I just want to give a little shout out to her because I love this application. She's a great ESL instructor, so if English is your second language, you can head over there and check out her resources. She's at vulingo.com. All right, so moving on, we have our due date. So that's pretty self-explanatory. I think this links up with like Google Calendars or iCal or something. It links up with another app. You can check that out as well. I don't use it anymore. I have enough alerts and my calendar is jam-packed. So I just kind of come in here and use this more so for planning and designing, not for to enter my due dates. And then under attachment, again, you can attach various things that you've been researching. So you can put a direct link to a website, or you can pull up any files from your computer. So I really like attaching pictures here because it'll show up on the main page of your board. So let me show you a sample from mint.com. And when I attach that, you see right there, it shows up on the left-hand side, in that track spending card. So that's really nice because, well, first of all, it makes your Trello account look prettier, when you have images. But it's a quick little reminder that this is the card you need to go to to put your information about why use mint.com. Okay, so you can just use it as quick little visual reminders for yourself. All right, and then underneath that, you have a few other actions here that you can do. You can move this card over into another list or even into another board, which since your boards might be individual courses, you can easily move this lesson, this mint.com lesson that you've devised and created and scripted over into another course. You can also copy it. So if you're going to teach this lesson in multiple courses, it's easy just to copy this over into that section. You can also subscribe to this card. So if you did have members that were also working on this, then you can subscribe and get an email update whenever they make any changes. And then lastly, there's the archive button. So you'll find that in Trello, it's rare that they'll have a delete button. It's usually archive, and that's helpful so you can just search for it. It's not completely gone and removed from your board or from your course. You can find it find it again later. Okay, so that is pretty much it. Lastly, I know this board itself can be helpful for you to use as a template if you'd like. So go ahead and click at the bottom of this video. You'll see a link to the board, and once you click on that, you can go to the sign up here option. And once you click on that, there's a link here. It says if you'd like to access this board, simply click on this link. If you have an account, again, you will be automatically enrolled into this. And if you don't have an account, then you'll be forwarded to a link where you can create sign up for a Trello account, after which you'll be able to come back here and become a member of this board. And what that allows is for you to use this as a template. So you don't have to create something from scratch. Once you have access to the board or this budgeting course, you can go up into this show menu, click on, where is it? More. And then you can copy the board. Okay, and so once you copy it, then it will be saved into your own Trello account and you can have at it. You can create multiple copies of this and you can just reuse this as a template for each and every course that you're going to create. All right, so happy course coding.